You're watching this video because you're deciding whether to use Squarespace or WordPress, or maybe you're looking to move from Squarespace to WordPress or WordPress to Squarespace, and you want to weigh up your options to decide whether it's the right decision or which website platform to use. And in this video, I'm going to weigh up the different things that you need to consider so that you can make the best decision for your business. And this is coming from someone who's worked both on WordPress sites and on Squarespace sites. My current websites are on Squarespace, but I've got a number of clients who are on WordPress. So I'm going to do my best to give you a comprehensive review of both platforms so that you can make the best decision. Now, first of all, I'm going to explain the main difference between Squarespace and WordPress, and then I'm going to compare the two different platforms in 5 different areas. First of all, we're going to go through usability, then we're going to go through customization, we're going to be going through SEO, then e-commerce, and then finally pricing, just so that you have all the main areas that you need to know for both platforms. So let's just get straight into it. Now, just to give you the main difference between WordPress and Squarespace, Squarespace is a website builder and WordPress is a CMS. Now, what I want you to picture here is a house. WordPress is a little bit like a frame of a house. It gives you the skeleton, and then it's a lot more flexible for you to put your walls in, put your furniture, and customize the house, your website, to how you want it to be. Now, that does mean there's more work that needs to go in, which I'll touch upon later, but it gives you much more flexibility to build your dream home. Now, Squarespace is a little bit more like a house that you rent. It's got all the walls, it's got the floors, it may already have furniture in as well, which makes it much more easy to move into your house. And of course, from there, you can customize it to really make it your home. That is the difference between a website builder and a CMS. Squarespace is a website builder. It's got all the walls, it's got the floors, and then you can customize it from there to make it your home. Whereas WordPress is like a shell of a house. It's got the frame up, you need to put in the walls, the floors. It's a lot more customizable. And this therefore has pros and cons that we're about to go into. Now, the first thing that we're going to consider is usability. Obviously, as I've just described, WordPress is a CMS. It's a frame of a house, which means there's a lot more work that needs to go into it in order to get it to where you want to be. And just to give you a little bit of an overview of the two different platforms, this is a client of mine that is on WordPress, and this is actually my site, SEO Space, on Squarespace. And you can see pretty much straight off the bat that the WordPress platform, that the dashboard itself is quite overwhelming and there's a lot to go through. Now, of course, this is a site that's already built. It's got a lot of plugins in and there's a lot here. If you start completely from scratch, you're not going to see as much, but the general principle is still there. WordPress has a big learning curve to it. In my opinion, there's a big barrier to entry compared to Squarespace. As you can see, it's much more clean. If I wanted to go in and create a new page, all I'd have to do is go to pages, go to here, and from here I can add a ton of different type of pages. I can add a blog, a store, portfolio, a blank page. There's even a ton of different page layouts that I can work with as well. So in my opinion, it's a lot more usable. If we compare this to WordPress, now because WordPress is like a frame of a house, you've then got many different website building options that you can then plug into WordPress. So there's tools like Divi and Elementor, which are essentially website builders that you can put into WordPress to allow you to build the walls, the floors, and put all the different furniture in. In this example, I'm using Elementor, which is essentially a website builder for WordPress, as I've already mentioned. However, to add a page, I've got to go over here and go to page. I've then got to add the page, and then from there, I can edit that page with Elementor. So it's not like I've got preset elements or anything like that that I can go through. I have to then edit it with Elementor. Now, Elementor is a great tool. It's got a lot of functionality like WordPress. It's got the drag and drop. However, just clearly visually, you can see that the usability is a barrier to entry to WordPress, which may be something that you want to consider, particularly if you're new to building a website and you're going to do it yourself. And this ties really well on to the second thing we're going to consider, which is customization. Now, Squarespace being a website builder, i.e. a house that has the walls and the floors in already, it lacks the customization that you're going to get with WordPress. It is a lot difficult to customize it to really tailor your needs. And this may mean in cases where you really need to customize the website. For example, this client site here, they sell property, so they need to have a property directory, a place where people can inquire, and a place that immediately syncs to their backend database of all the different properties that they have. That just wouldn't be possible on Squarespace. And that's really where WordPress comes into its own because it's open source. You can freely edit the code. You can add a lot more custom elements in there. WordPress really wins in the customization because you can add a ton of different custom elements. And on top of that, it also has a very extensive plugin store. So if I go over to the Squarespace plugin store and I go to add new plugin, you can see here that this is the WordPress plugin marketplace. And there's thousands of different plugins that you can use to customize your website and really push the boundaries of what is possible. Now, Squarespace itself does have an extension marketplace. There are extensions that you can add on Squarespace. I know because we're one of them. We built SEO Space, the SEO plugin for Squarespace, or the Yoast for Squarespace. So there are extensions / plugins available. But because Squarespace isn't as freely customizable, they don't function the same as they do on WordPress. So if you really want to push the limits, WordPress is what you should consider. However, I would say for 95+% of people, you probably don't need the customization that WordPress allows, which is why I'd probably recommend going towards Squarespace. But again, just depending upon your unique use case, hopefully that's just giving you the information that you need to best make the decision for you. Now moving on to SEO, search engine optimization, i.e. getting your website to rank on Google so target customers can find it. Because of the sort of stuff that I've just mentioned, WordPress being a lot more customizable, there's a lot more things that you can do on WordPress for more advanced SEO techniques. For example, if you wanted to publish 1,000 different blog posts really quickly onto your website, then WordPress is definitely going to be the best option for you. It really caters for, I guess, the sort of top 5% of websites that really want to push the limits for SEO. But again, just like with the customization element, for 95% of people, Squarespace has everything that you need. It's got built-in SEO tools and it's got everything in out of the box so that you don't need to put in SEO plugins in order to get it to work. Now, of course, I made SEO Space, the SEO plugin for Squarespace. However, you don't need SEO Space to get your SEO to function on Squarespace. It's got the built-in tools. And when you actually look at what Google cares about, Google doesn't actually care about the website builder you use. As you can see on this graph on the screen, it cares whether you're publishing engaging content, whether you're putting the keywords in the right places, whether you're showing to Google and expert and visitors that you're an expert. So really, it just comes down to what website builder you prefer to follow these SEO best practices on. And that's really what SEO Space does. It helps people on Squarespace follow SEO best practices. But again, you can do this whether you're on Squarespace or WordPress. WordPress, again, has got a lot more plugins available to help with SEO. But really, I don't think it really matters too much. It matters with what you do with the platform. So when it comes to SEO, what I would recommend is trying out WordPress and trying out Squarespace and just picking the platform that you prefer to build your website and do SEO on. For me, that is Squarespace because it's so easy to use. However, for you, if you've got development experience, if you want that customization, it might be WordPress. And you may prefer, using different plugins to really push the limit. So really that is up to you there. But of course, based upon what my business is, I do naturally prefer Squarespace. And I think for most people, that's going to be the best option. Now moving on to e-commerce, as you previously saw, when I'm actually on Squarespace, it's very easy to add in here and add a store. You've also got the ability to sell courses, sell membership spaces. So Squarespace has got some fantastic built-in commerce functionality. WordPress, you do actually need sort of an extension and add-on in order to get commerce to work really effectively. The most common one that's used is WooCommerce. And WooCommerce has fantastic functionality that is helping support probably stores that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So WooCommerce is a fantastic option. And because of all the stuff that I've just mentioned about WordPress as well, WooCommerce actually has fantastic customization options. So if you've got a large store that's doing large volumes and you want that flexibility to connect with different payment processes, to connect with a ton of different extensions that are going to allow you to push the limit, as well as also add in custom code to really optimize your website to boost your conversion rates, then WordPress is going to be the best option. But I would say if you're a smaller store, you don't need the customization and really you just want speed, Squarespace is going to be the best option for you because as you can see here, you can literally just add a store and get selling through your Squarespace site straight away. So as you can sort of tell here, there really is a theme. If you're at the top end in terms of customization, in terms of sales volume, and in terms of experience, WordPress probably is going to be the best option. But again, if you want speed, if you want something that's easy and you want something that's just, you can set up and go and start selling on your business, Squarespace is going to be best. Then finally, moving on to cost. Now, something that I just want to tell you say the difference with, if I go here and I type in WordPress, first you're going to see WordPress.com. And then you're going to see WordPress.org. Now, WordPress.org is actually WordPress. This is the free open source project, and actually you can get started on WordPress.org for free. You then have WordPress.com, which is actually also owned by the same team that owns WordPress.com, but they're essentially a hosting and website building tool, which does actually cost. So WordPress.org itself is actually completely free to use. You can get started with this for completely free. It's not going to have too much out the box, and it is going to be fairly limited. But if you want a free website, WordPress is the way to go. And I think actually around 50% of the internet is built on WordPress for this exact reason. It's completely free to get started. And of course, as I've already mentioned, there's fantastic tools that you can add in to make it really, really usable. But if we go over to WordPress.com, which as I mentioned is owned by WordPress.org, it's a little bit confusing. You can see the pricing plans that are available. So you can see we've got the personal, which starts from £3 per month on the annual plan, premium £7, business £20, commerce £36. So it's ranging from £3 to £36 per month. If we go monthly, you can see £8 to £55. If we go over to WordPress, you can see personal starts at £12 a month. So a little bit more expensive than WordPress.org. But then you can see the commerce is actually a little bit cheaper than the commerce on WordPress.org. And as you can see here, that Woo is actually WooCommerce. So they partner with WooCommerce in order to be able to do that. So you've got some really good commerce functionality that's built in the box. So WordPress is a little bit cheaper on the bottom end, but Squarespace is a little bit cheaper on the high end. And as you can see, there's multiple different options. If we go to monthly and just compare it here, you can see that the top end is £55 and you can see the highest plan on Squarespace is £33. So a little bit cheaper on WordPress when you're getting started. However, you have to think in mind that with WordPress, often you do need paid plugins in order to get it to really work and really be secure. So even though it is a little bit cheaper on the front end, if you think of all the different things that you've got to plug into it and pay off the top of it, it probably is a very similar to price to Squarespace, if not more. And obviously with Squarespace, what you've got to remember, even though it is a little bit more expensive on the bottom end, obviously it is a website builder. It has everything sort of built into the box. So bear those things in mind when you're considering the different plans. So there you are, guys. That is a comparison of WordPress versus Squarespace. Whether you're deciding between the two different website builders or you're deciding whether to move from WordPress to Squarespace or vice versa, hopefully this video is giving the information in order to make the best decision. Obviously, I am a little bit biased, but one thing, I do want to remind you guys is I have got clients that use WordPress, Webflow, custom built platforms. So I do have experience on the different options, and hopefully this video has given you the info that you need. Now, of course, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you do decide to use Squarespace, we share Squarespace and Squarespace SEO tips and guidance, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.